Meet the most successful club in German football history, Bayern Munich. Founded in 1900, Bayern has since seen some of the greatest names in the game don the red and white. From Müller to Matthaus, the Kaiser to the Magic Dwarf, and a cast of other fabulous Fußballers in between. And with a global strategy that is the envy of the football world, Bayern is never far from the top when it comes to the game's most financially powerful sides. They may dominate at the Allianz and beyond, but these Bavarians are no match for the truth. Munich is the capital city of the German federal state of Bavaria and the third largest city in the nation. With a region that is home to just under 6 million people, it is a cultural and technological global leader. But things weren't always fun in Toy Town. Because in the 1920s, the city became the birthplace of Nazism and gave rise to the leader of the Third Reich, Adolf Hitler. But when Hitler went down at the end of World War II, Munich essentially went down with him. Little by little, the city was rebuilt, with locals able to drown their sorrows in a celebration that remains an iconic part of Bavarian culture. Oktoberfest.
Yes, undoubtedly, beer is one of the highlights. Special casks were broached for the occasion, and nobody seemed exactly downhearted about it either.
The annual pilgrimage to the site of the world's biggest beer festival is also embraced by the city's signature team, Bayern Munich. It's an opportunity for their German and non-German players to take a break from the rigors of professional football life, trading their uniforms for lederhosen and water bottles for substantial steins of suds.
I have good knowledge about wine, so I know how many bottles of wines I can drink, but I don't know how many beers. I have to try.
And try Italian coach Carlo Ancelotti did. But his predecessor, Spain's Pep Guardiola, wasn't nearly as convinced in the festivity.
One in my direction, please. One.
Sehr groß für mich.
The glasses are too big. Way too big, in fact. The beer goes warm so quickly in those big steins. Even in just a few minutes, and warm beer is terrible.
Warm beer or not, barring serious illness, the boozy team-building exercise is a mandatory excursion for German football's most successful club. Coming up, the rise of the Bavarians. Sometimes it seems that even if you win in football, you can't win. Such is the case for FC Bayern Munich. Because their dominance in the Bundesliga has become so commonplace, many feel that their brilliance has made the domestic league, well, boring. For fans and players.
Bayern is state-of-the-art. I think there will always be things to improve, and this is what our coach has told us as well, that Bayern is the best team in the world, so it can of course happen that it becomes kind of boring over a couple of years. This cannot be excluded.
What cannot be overlooked either is Bayern's bargaining power. With a seemingly endless pit of financial resources at their disposal, they can lure the best talents that Germany have to offer away from other clubs.
Sadly, that has been the case for a few years now. The richer clubs become even richer, and so on. In the past, Bayern bought a few good players from Dortmund. It was never the other way around. Dortmund or Leverkusen never bought a top player from Bayern.
However, much like the city itself, there once was a time when the club was a floundering mess. Having gone through 13 coaches between the end of World War II and 1963, and failed to be included into the new national league known as the Bundesliga. But that all changed thanks to a trio of players referred to as the Axis. In 1965, Bayern Munich found themselves with a fearsome threesome of keeper Sepp Maier, their powerful bomber Gerd Müller, and of course, their revolutionary central defender, the Kaiser, Franz Beckenbauer. Finishing third in their first season of top-flight football, they put their stamp on the continental game when they defeated Scottish champions Rangers in the 1967 European Cup Winners' Cup final, thanks to a dramatic extra-time volley scored by Franz Roth. When the final whistle blew at the Frankenstadion in Nuremberg, the euphoria was palpable. In the early 70s, they were a domestic force, setting records for points gained and goals scored. But their continental breakthrough came in the 1974 European Cup final against Atletico Madrid, when they completely dismantled their Spanish counterparts 4-0, thanks to a brace by Hoeness and another two by Gerd Muller. They dominated Europe again the following year, this time against English side Leeds United. Bayern won 2-0, but not without controversy, with a few suspicious calls leading to rioting by Leeds fans and a subsequent ban from European competition for 3 years. We came back into the game and scored 2 lucky goals, so in the end we were the winners, but we were very, very lucky, conceded captain Beckenbauer. Bayern's quest to make it 3 European Cup trophies in 3 years landed them in the final against French side Saint-Étienne. Different opponent, same story. At Hampden Park in Glasgow, midfielder Franz Roth was the hero once again. Scoring in the 57th minute, Bayern survived a late rally by the French to secure their 3rd straight title. But after winning the Intercontinental Cup at the end of the year by an aggregate score of 2-0 against Cruzeiro, the team split up. Beckenbauer packed his bags and moved to the United States, signing with the cashed-up New York Cosmos to join the likes of Italian striker Giorgio Chinaglia and Brazilian legend Pelé. 2 years later, keeper Sepp Maier called it a career, while Gerd Müller would follow the Kaiser to the States, settling for a warmer climate with the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. The 1980s saw the club marred once again in a vicious combination of financial strife and off-field turmoil. And despite winning 5 domestic titles in 6 seasons, they hired Franz Beckenbauer first as coach, then as president, to turn their European fortunes around. They'd be coached by Giovanni Trapattoni and later Otto Rehhagel, and had players like World Cup champions Lothar Matthaus and Jürgen Klinsmann to help guide them to the successes of the past. But they instead made headlines for all the wrong reasons, garnering the nickname FC Hollywood, thanks to their prominence in the gossip pages of the press. The turn of the century gave Bayern a fresh start, and led by another star in Oliver Kahn between the pipes and Ottmar Hitzfeld at the helm, they embraced the change. The club captured their first European title in 25 years, defeating Valencia on penalties in the 2001 Champions League final. Kahn was named the man of the match. They'd continue to dominate the Bundesliga, but things went from excellent to extraordinary in 2013. First off, the team won the Bundesliga title in a manner never seen before. The club set records for most points, most wins, fewest losses, greatest goal difference, and fastest time to clinch the title. Having finished first with 25 points on second-place side Borussia Dortmund, they tallied a total of 30 single-season records. Next was the Champions League final. Having lost on home soil in the final a year prior to Chelsea on penalties, this time around they were ready for battle no matter who the opponent was.
We want to take this Champions League trophy to Munich. Last year, we unfortunately lost, and now our aim is to bring it back home. Last year, an English team has won in Munich. This time, I hope that a team from Munich will win in England.
Their opponents on this go, however, were their domestic foes from Dortmund. The game was hard-fought and incredibly exciting, but in the end, Bayern would come out on top, 2-1, thanks to Arjen Robben's goal with a minute left in regulation time.
So many emotions, well, when I got the ball, I was free. I anticipated on Frank's move, and the only thought was, I hope he lets the ball there in the space or a little bit back, but leave the ball there, because I saw the space, and yeah, the ball was exactly in my path, and I took it well the first touch, and that's why I could get away from the defenders. And my first choice was actually to go past him on the left side, but then he made a move, and then I could put it on the other side, and he was on the wrong leg.
Bayern became the first German club to complete the treble with a 3-2 victory over Stuttgart in the DFB-Pokal final, while solidifying their place as one of the powerhouses of world club football. After the break, Bayern's team of champions. When a team turns into a perennial powerhouse of the world game, choosing a greatest starting 11 proves nearly impossible. The case of Bayern Munich is no exception. With a record total of German championships and a heavy handful of European titles, the list of magnificent Munich footballers is a long one. Fortunately for many, the club's Hall of Fame gives them a permanent place to call home. While only a superstar can find a starting spot on this Bayern Munich team of champions. Three-time German Footballer of the Year Sepp Maier takes the starting spot in goal. Known as the Cat from Ansing, thanks to his feline reflexes, Maier appeared in 473 Bundesliga matches for the club, setting a record of 422 straight games. In a career that spanned nearly 2 decades, he took home 4 Bundesliga and DFB-Pokal titles and 3 European Cups, earning the nod as Germany's goalkeeper of the century. At right back stands the man known as the Magic Dwarf, the modern-day legend Philipp Lahm. Having debuted with the side in 2002, Lahm went on to become the winningest defender in Bayern history and captained the club to their Champions League title in 2013. And with the 2014 World Cup trophy to his name, Lahm retired from the game at the end of the 2017 season.
Ich sehe meinen Führungsstil auch irgendwo in der Art, dass ich jeden
I
Tag
told them
immer,
I will retire at the
das
end
Beste
of the
gebe,
season.
immer jeden Tag, trainiere, dass
I have
ich versuche
often
auch,
explained what my reasons
jeden
are,
Tag alles
and that my
zu geben,
style is to
jedes
train
Training,
every
jedes
day
Spiel.
and give
Und
my
ich glaube,
best
dass
in
ich
every
das
training
fähig bin,
session.
die Saison noch bis zum
I am
Ende,
sure I can do that this
abzuliefern,
season,
aber nicht
but not
darüber
beyond
hinaus.
that.
Und, deswegen ist dann
Therefore,
für mich,
retirement is clear to me.
einfach klar, dass ich dann am Ende der Saison aufhören werde.
The first central defender on the side is the bruising Klaus Augenthaler. Known as the Eye for his incredible ability to read play, that skill helped him become a defensive stalwart with 52 goals in 404 appearances, while winning 7 Bundesliga titles. Bayern has always been everything to me. I even think in red and white, he said. Standing next to him is arguably the greatest defender to ever play the game, the legendary Franz Beckenbauer. Bayern and Beckenbauer became the best team in Europe after his arrival in 1965, as he captained them to 3 league titles in the early 70s and 3 European Cup wins. His move to the New York Cosmos was highly unpopular, and his confidence has often mingled with arrogance. But one can't deny his impact on the club and the game itself. At left back is the versatile Paul Breitner. A revolutionary in that he added attacking flair to his otherwise staunch defensive game, Breitner was able to suffocate the likes of Johan Cruyff in the 1974 World Cup final while scoring at will when in the midfield. Famous for his radical communist views, Breitner is also immovable when it comes to his view on success.
You have to realize that primarily it's about the player who wants to win a treble for himself. For himself. 1, 2, 3. For himself, for himself, for himself.
1, 2, 3. Für sich, für sich, für sich.
In the midfield, Bastian Schweinsteiger takes a spot at left wing. Although he did his best work at central midfield, Schweinsteiger started at left back before moving into a left wing role, and left the team for Manchester United in 2015 with 8 Bundesliga titles, 7 German Cups and a Champions League crown. At central midfield is another German great, Lothar Matthaus. With 7 league titles, 3 DFB Cups and the UEFA Cup in 1996, few battled harder than Lothar, who was voted German Player of the Year in 1999. At right midfield stands the big boss, Stefan Effenberg. Having played for the Reds 160 times, he scored 35 goals and was an inspiration every time he stepped onto the pitch. Former coach Ottmar Hitzfeld proudly exclaimed, "When others are looking for a hiding place, that's when Effenberg steps forward." Up front, Bayern's 3-prong attack begins with Karl-Heinz Rummenigge. His knack for goal was obvious as soon as he joined the club in 1974 as an 18-year-old and scored 162 goals in 310 Bundesliga appearances, ranking second all-time on the team's goal-scoring list. Rummenigge has since moved into management with the club and is just as influential as he was on the pitch. Next to Karl is one of the greatest goal scorers the game has ever seen, Gerd Muller. The stocky striker is the club's all-time leading scorer, with a record 365 goals in 427 Bundesliga games and an international record of 66 goals in 74 European club games. he averaged more than a goal a game with West Germany, scoring a sublime 68 goals in 62 appearances, making him both feared and revered.
I once said lightly that what Bayern Munich stands for today, with what has developed at the Sabener Strasse, compared to the time in the mid-60s when we had our changing rooms in a small wooden hut, then I think without Gerd Muller, Bayern would still be in that hut. To a certain extent, it is true though. Without Gerd Muller's goals, the FC Bayern would not stand for what it does today.
And finally, Hoeness supplants Arjen Robben up front in a Bayern Munich greatest starting 11. Hoeness played 8 seasons with the Bavarians, collecting Bundesliga, European Cup and German Cup honours. The 1974 World Cup winner scored 86 goals in 239 Bundesliga appearances before leaving the pitch at just 27 years of age to get into management. So there you have it, Bayern Munich's greatest starting 11, a team stacked with a series of football legends. Their brilliant bench would include the likes of Oliver Kahn and Manuel Neuer in goal, defenders Vicente Lizarazu and Hans-Georg Schwarzenbeck, midfielders Mehmet Scholl and Franz Roth, and attacking flair from Arjen Robben, who clinched their 2013 Champions League title, and Thomas Müller, the skinny version of Gerd, with a similar scoring touch. Still to come, a place to call home. With Munich in a pile of rubble following World War II, Bayern was in need of a place to call home. They managed to fill the grounds at Grunwalder Stadion until 1972, when the Olympiastadion was built for the Summer Olympics. It was there that Bayern became one of the biggest clubs in the world, and with a seating capacity of 79,000, it was the ideal stage for Beckenbauer and company to work their magic. But with the magic fading as fast as its concrete walls, the city of Munich decided it was time to get with the times. A new, more state-of-the-art home was needed in order to make Bayern a global reality. Introducing Allianz Arena. Inaugurated a year before Germany hosted the 2006 World Cup, the 66,000-seater boasts 3 tiers, ensuring every seat is the best seat in the house. It also has Europe's largest underground car park on site, providing nearly 10,000 spaces.
The very special feature of this stadium is its architecture. When you look at it from the outside, it's fascinating, breathtaking. It is hard to explain in words. It's just beautiful and very exceptional. But I do think that the stroke of genius of the building lies in its lighting.
Yes, the lighting. The 2,874 inflated panels can be separately illuminated in white, blue or red. Self-cleaning, fire, heat and cold resistant, they create a magnificent backdrop at night. With the light show accompanying the show on the pitch, it's only fitting that a team nicknamed FC Hollywood play there. Even if, by stadium standards, the build was done on a budget. Constructed at a cost of $360 million, that's roughly 3.5 times less than it cost to build the marvel of modern engineering, Wembley Stadium, in 2007. Incidentally, Wembley was where Bayern defeated domestic rivals Borussia Dortmund to take home their 5th Champions League title. Fußball Club Bayern München. How awesome is that name? It's simple, it's sublime, and it's savage, all rolled into one. Much like the team behind the name. Because thanks to the legendary footballers of the past, a standard of excellence was established for the current crop of stars today. It's a Bavarian brand that demands only the best. And that's exactly what they deliver. And that is the truth.